You open this door with the key of reason. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of truth, a dimension of freedom, a dimension of joy. You're moving into the land of both the ideal and the real, of the possible and the actual. You've just crossed over into the Capitalist Corner.
Where reason meets reality, welcome to the Capitalist Corner.
Welcome to the Capitalist Corner, folks. I am your host, Michael Liebowitz. As you can see, I am solo today once again, and we are going to have a great time. I got a great show for you today. I'm very fired up, very aggravated. Before we get started, we'll do the usual. Although I am the vice chairman of the American Capitalist Party and our usual host, Mark Pellegrino, is the chairman of the American Capitalist Party, the show is not affiliated with the party, and what we express here are our own opinions, not those of the party. Now, please go out there, like this episode, like the podcast, subscribe, and share it from YouTube to your normal social media platforms. It'd be a big, big help to the show. Helps the algorithm. Get it done. Thank you very much. Now, let me just get into it. I, this morning, felt despondent. I felt very angry, very upset with the world in general. I was reading through the news this morning and the social media stuff, and I saw that James Comey had been indicted. And I saw a claim about there was a story about 274 FBI agents that were embedded in the crowd on January 6th, which had been denied. And I just got to thinking, like, wow, I don't know what to believe. There's so many different sources of information. So many people say different things, and I don't know what to believe. And as my morning went on, I started to feel much better, and I feel great right now, actually. And I thought about my own development, my own political thinking, and where I came from and where I am now. And I thought that it would be helpful if I share that with you today. So when I first got involved in politics, I would have been what you would call a conservative. I idolized Ronald Reagan. I listened to Rush Limbaugh every day. I totally distrusted and mistrusted the mainstream media. I knew they had a left-wing bias. I still know that. It wasn't that I thought that they were necessarily lying, but the slant they would put on stories, it showed me where they stood. For instance, when talking about tax cuts, they would talk about, giveaways for the rich, that sort of thing. Not people get to keep more of their money. It would be, what happened? We lost all the audience? Okay, it would be, there's no money left. I mean, there's no money to go around because the rich are getting these breaks. So that's, I mistrusted them, and I trusted Rush Limbaugh, and I trusted conservative media in general. Fox News. I used to watch Fox News Sunday every week. Loved the conservative commentators. Brit Hume was my absolute favorite. By the way, I still like Brit Hume, still like George Will. The conservative icon William F. Buckley once agreed to mentor me. We exchanged letters. So what happened? And I'm going to tell you about the journey, right? The whole mainstream media. I was a big supporter of the Iraq war. I wish I wasn't, but I was, right? I was a big supporter of George W. Bush. And by the way, I supported every Republican candidate for president up until Donald Trump. And when Trump was running in the primary, I first supported Rand Paul, then I supported Ted Cruz, would have happily supported either of them in a general election. So the mainstream media was reporting on the war in Iraq, and they were constantly giving bad news, bad news, bad news. And Rush Limbaugh was telling me, no, the mainstream media is lying to you about this. Things are going better than what they're saying. There's good news in Iraq. I used to get the Weekly Standard, Bill Kristol's conservative magazine, and there would be stuff in there like, imagine if this was early in 1776 and people were saying, wow, the British haven't been defeated yet. So I really bought into it hook, line, and sinker that the mainstream media had this wrong. Rush Limbaugh had it right, and the war in Iraq was going well. Turns out that wasn't the case. The war in Iraq wasn't going well. There wasn't these weapons of mass destruction that we were told they were going to find. So that was my first hint. Well, something's off here. I trusted Rush, but maybe he got this wrong. Anybody can get one thing wrong. So I kept listening to Rush. I liked him. I liked him when his critiques of Obama, and I listened to Sean Hannity, and I liked his critiques of Obama. In 2012, though, during the election season, I don't know if you remember, but Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey. And Sean Hannity was so forceful with his claim that this was Obama's Katrina. It was like he was trying to, fit a square peg into a round hole. It just was way off to me. So that was my second sort of hint that I could not trust conservative media either. Then came 2016. Now, Donald Trump, I don't want to go through the litany of lies. People should know by now. His character, his philandering, his comments about young women, the beauty pageant girls, all the lies. My viewpoint of Donald Trump has been shaped by him, his comments, watching The Apprentice, for instance, where he criticized people for not throwing their teammates under the bus. So my view of Donald Trump's character and the lies he tells is shaped by his words and what I know about him. It's not coming from the mainstream media. Yet all of a sudden, Hannity and Limbaugh were regularly defending Trump, denying what I actually knew to be true, what I heard with my own ears and saw with my own eyes. They kept defending him, and anybody that opposed him, they castigated as elites. For instance, Sean Hannity referred to Tea Party Senator Ben Sasse as an elite. In his own person that he used to have regularly on his show, Jamie Dupree, said, no. Ben Sasse is not the part of the elites. But that was the narrative they were pushing. So much so that even when Marco Rubio came out and started acting like Trump, now all of a sudden Hannity had a problem with him. He disliked that type of behavior. Now, all this in spite of the fact that, one, Trump called George W. Bush a liar on Iraq. Didn't say Bush was wrong, called him an outright liar. But Hannity and Limbaugh had spent years and years defending Bush, but there was no pushback on that. Nothing. It was just okay. There was nothing to see here, folks. Then, after I had listened to Limbaugh and Hannity push free trade for over a decade, now here comes Tariff Man, and that was okay. So I really just said, okay, these guys just are not credible any longer. They're just in the tank for Trump. So I couldn't trust them. At the time now, there were talk show hosts like Glenn Beck and Mark Levin. Glenn Beck was saying that this was like the French Revolution. The Trump people were just out to destroy. They had Dana Lash on the show talking about she's tired of the Trump people. She's getting threats from the Trump people. These people are dangerous. They're not to be trusted. Trump is a modern day Hitler. J.D. Vance subsequently later on called Trump a modern day Hitler. Mark Levin called him a New York City bully and was criticizing him to no end. The politicians that said that Trump could not be trusted, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Elise Stefanik, all said he could not be trusted. Then what happened? All of a sudden, when it became financially and politically in their interest to do so, they all defend and support Trump. Trump went from being a Hitler to being, no, he's good. It's the left. They're all just evil. Okay, so now then all of these people, either their judgment is just incredibly bad in the first place. When they assessed Trump as this evil person that could not be president, that we couldn't trust in the office, they were just horribly bad, in which case I have no use for them. But more likely, they didn't just have a change of heart. What they did was saw, okay, I see which way the wind's blowing. Let me set my sail in that direction. So those folks, I just don't trust. And then you had Tucker Carlson, for instance, where his private emails don't match what he says on the air. Okay, so they can't be trusted. Now let's consider all the former people that worked for Trump that subsequently said that Trump is not fit for office, that Trump is a liar, and much other horrible things about him. Rex Tillerson, his former chief of staff, John Kelly, his former defense secretary, Mattis, the other defense secretary whose name slipped in my mind, his advisor, John Bolton, his attorney general, William Barr, his vice president, Mike Pence. Now, these were all people that Trump chose. After Trump told us all he's going to pick the best people. So he picked all these people who subsequently said he's no good. Now he says they're liars. Again, either they are liars, in which case his judgment's horrible, or they're telling the truth and he's unfit for office. Now, we also know that heading in to this whole political season, that Trump was going to try to fill his cabinet and his advisors with yes men, people who were not going to push back on him, people who were going to go along with what he said. He even said, "Where's my Roy Cohn? Where's my Roy Cohn?" Roy Cohn being not only Trump's mentor, but the guy who went out on a limb and was really defending what the hell is his name? Now, I can't remember the first. Joseph McCarthy. He was McCarthy's guy, defended McCarthy to the hilt. So now Trump wants that. So we know that Trump is looking to fill his cabinet with yes men. So he fills it up with people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. Okay, these are the people who previously told us, along with Trump, that there was this Epstein list that we needed to see. We absolutely needed to see this. There's an Epstein list. It's being hidden from us. Then when they're in office, all of a sudden they come and say nothing to see here. Okay, so either they were lying before or they're lying now. Which one is it? I mean, I have my opinion. It doesn't matter. I know they're liars. That's the problem. So before I answer your questions, I see some there. I'm going to just continue a little bit. So recently, Trump was pressuring the Justice Department to go after his political enemies, specifically Letitia James. Or was it Letitia James? I think it was Letitia James, but I might be getting them confused. It really doesn't matter. The point is that he had a prosecutor resign, saying, "I'm not going to do this." Subsequently, Trump posted on Truth Social that to Pam Bondi, basically an open letter, "I want you to go after my enemies. I want you to go after Jim Comey." So that brings us to Jim Comey. But before that, I want to talk about the story I read this morning. So I'm reading this morning all over X, and this was shared by Mike Benz, by Thomas Massey, by Kash Patel, and by Mike Lee. Also, the cat turds and the other Trump sycophants, about 274 embedded FBI agents that were there on January 6th. Now, I'd previously read that there were 24. So I'm thinking, wow, if this is true, this is really something. So the author of the article was John Solomon. I don't know anything about him. So I Googled him, and it says, well, he does have a right-wing bias, but he's known, he's pretty accurate in his reporting. So I said to myself, wow, is this true? Is this accurate? So I kept scrolling and I came across Richard Hanania. And Richard Hanania said the MAGA narratives that they start, basically they're either lying or they have very poor reading comprehension skills. So he shares a post by Kyle Cheney. This guy says the 274 FBI agents that were referenced in the article were not there before the violence started. They were specifically sent after the violence started. So you see, there's no way that those 274 FBI agents could have been instigating the start of the riots, which was the implication, which is what they were trying to get at, because that's been part of their narrative from the start, that it wasn't actually Trump, it wasn't his followers, it was Antifa, it was the FBI, it's Nancy Pelosi's fault, whatever. So I actually went in and I read the article by John Solomon. And sure enough, in the actual article written by the guy, John Solomon, the article says that the 274 FBI agents were deployed to the Capitol after the violence began. So the actual article by John Solomon states that the people were sent there after the violence began. So no, I like numbers. I don't have to believe Kyle. I don't have to believe the mainstream media, because that's always the deflection. Always. Oh, I don't trust the mainstream media. No, that's a liberal. No, that's the left. They're all lying on Trump, except for I read the actual story. And in the actual story, it says they were sent there afterwards, after the violence started. So Senator Mike Lee, FBI Director Kash Patel, Mike Benz, Thomas Massey, all sharing this story. And it turns out that the article says different. So I went in and I started having a conversation with Grok, and I learned something very interesting, because at first Grok was telling me, no. The article doesn't state a timeline for when the FBI agents arrived. And I said, wait a second, what are you talking about? I've read the article numerous times. How are you saying that there's no timeline? It says, no, there's no timeline. I went and got the quote and I posted it to Grok, and Grok says, no, that's not a quote from the article. So I'm like, what the hell is this thing talking about? So I actually shared the article with Grok. And I said, look, here's the article. And Grok says, thank you for sharing. Grok says the article's been updated and changed from what it said originally. Now, why would John Solomon change the article from what it said originally? Could it be because there was pushback from people who knew, who came out and said, no, this is inaccurate. They were sent afterwards. They were sent there afterwards. So John Solomon changed the story. If you go read the story right now, go to John Solomon's website, read the story, go to my Facebook page, go to my X page, whatever. I posted it there. You can read it for yourselves. So go read it. That's all I can say. Go read the article. Okay, so now all that is there. Now we come to Jim Comey, who's been indicted. Do I think it beyond the pale that Jim Comey could have broken the law? Absolutely not. He very well might have. My problem is, however, how do I believe that he did? When virtually all of the voices who have been calling for his indictment, I have a history knowing that they're liars, knowing that they will explicitly lie to shape an agenda as recent as this morning. Those are the people. And I also know that for the first time in my life, I've seen a president out there calling for his Justice Department to go indict somebody, a president posting that somebody is guilty prior to there even being a trial. I've never seen that before. So the reason I feel better is because I still know not to trust the MAGA universe and their information sphere. So perhaps Jim Comey will turn out to be guilty, but I'll tell you what, I am not going to believe it because Trump says so, because Pam Bondi says so, because Kash Patel says so, nor am I going to believe it because Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, or the rest say so. I'm going to need a hell of a lot more than that. And if that makes me an ableftivist or I have TDS, then so fucking be it. Because these folks, and by folks, I mean the MAGA influencers and MAGA politicians, are liars. Over and over again, they lie to shape a narrative that they want people to believe. They are base demagogues and propagandists. And if you fall for it, it's on you. I am not sticking up for the average person. I'm not that guy who's going to say, oh, but you have to understand why. To hell with that. If you are still believing this bullshit after all these years, shame on you. Okay. Now I've got that out of my system. I am more than ready to answer your questions. So in the chat, we've got 5. We're not just going to sit here reading all of I like numbers questions. So we're going to find, I like numbers. I will answer this. He says, how many presidents put in a combative cabinet heads? I don't know. Lincoln did, Obama did, Clinton had a Republican in his cabinet, even though, so I don't know how combative they were, but Trump chose them. So if you're saying that they're combative, okay, Trump said he was going to choose the best people. We can't trust him. You could try to defend this guy all you want. It's not going to work with me. I'm not going to fall for it. I don't give a damn. You can tell me, oh, you're believing this one like you did earlier. I like numbers. You're believing Kyle. No, I'm not. I believe the evidence of my senses. Now, I like number says, are we to believe they scrambled at the last minute or they had 270 guys on standby? I don't give a damn if they were on standby. What they were trying to imply is that they were put in the audience specifically to incite a riot. If they were on standby, they were on standby. I don't care. That's not what they were implying. Do not try to change the subject with me. Don't try to dance around. I'm not an idiot. And I'm in no mood for this. I'm really not. The article written by John Solomon and the evidence upon which he relied said they were sent afterwards. Full stop. Anybody implying otherwise is either dishonest or uninformed. Either way, I have no goddamn use for them. All right, we've got more comments. Let's see what we got. Manu, no, we're going to scroll down. Oh my God. I like numbers. He literally put his rival in the election in his cabinet. In his cabinet. Please stop. All right. Let's see if we've got some more questions. I don't see any. Kathy Cassio says our politicians are out of control. You're absolutely correct. And I'm no Democrat. I've never supported not a single Democratic candidate have I ever supported or defended. Never. Not one. Never happened. So a guy said to me on Facebook this morning, oh, why is it you only tell us you don't trust the right? You don't tell us you don't trust the left. Literally in the post, it said, I do not trust the mainstream media. In the very post he was referring to, he's telling me that I don't challenge the left. Then he says to me, why aren't you talking about Mandami? You never talk about him. I said to him, dude, do you think that I live my whole life on Facebook? Like, if you want me to send you the clips of this show talking about Mandami, I'll produce the clips, but then will you produce the apology? I doubt it. I really doubt the apology will be produced. Kira Felix says Trump makes Obama seem very presidential. You know, so Tucker Marler says people think we can trust Trump because he was a businessman first. Got to watch the episode of The Simpsons where Monty Burns runs. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could check that out. But I just saw something else that I thought was interesting. Yes, I like numbers. I do get more emotional about Republicans right now. This date and time, I do. It used to be I hated Obama when he's in office. But right now, we have something that I've never seen before. We have people out there who claim to share many of the same values as I do in terms of capitalism and constitutionalism, individual rights, who do not share those values. And you also have what I can only describe as a brainwashed segment of the population. They're either brainwashed or liars who follow these people no matter what they say, who within seconds after they tweet something out, retweet it and retweet it and retweet it throughout their information spheres. We also have the president of the United States as a Republican, so he has a little bit more power than the Democrats. So when Obama was in office, and Obama was pushing Obamacare, I was livid. When Obama gave speeches about bailing out the auto industry and all that, I was livid. I used to debate with inmates, correctional officers. And by the way, some of these people weren't the nicest folks. Some of these folks did not take kindly to somebody criticizing the first black president, but I did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. So stop with the whataboutisms. If you can challenge me on anything I'm saying, do so. Stop telling me about Biden. I'm going to share one more thing. When Joe Biden performed as he did in that debate with Paul Ryan, I thought, what a goddamn scumbag. That's what I thought about him. When Biden came out and talked about they're going to put you all back in chains, I thought, what a goddamn scumbag. When back in the day, Biden said about Obama, oh, he's clean cut and well-spoken, because he was black, saying that he'd get elected because of that. Obviously a racist comment. I thought, what a scumbag. And I would have said it to anybody that listened. When Biden was in office, he put pressure on Google. I'll criticize that. I have no allegiance to any of these people. Stop with the whataboutism and address what I'm saying now. If you can show that I'm wrong, do so. But obviously you can't, because it's all about, but why aren't you criticizing the other side? Stop. I don't like the other side. I don't care about the other side. I don't trust any of them. But you know what? I don't have people in my feeds on X, on YouTube, on Facebook, or here that are kissing Obama's ass. What I have are people that kiss Trump's ass. So that's what I'm addressing. Let me see what I've got the wrong one. The MD20 says, peace, Michael. I'm a Black American who is in favor of abolishing the construct of race in this country. How would we then classify certain crime and government discrimination that involves race? Unfortunately, I don't know. I have not thought about it. So I can't answer your question. I'm sorry, but it seems provocative. It seems interesting. Maybe message me on Facebook and tell me your thoughts on the subject, and then I can look further into it. Let me see. Let's get rid of that. Hope and change with the Obama cult mantra. Now we have Make America Great Again. Absolutely. I remember how happy I was when Sarah Palin came out and said, how did that hope and changey stuff work out for you? I thought that was great. And by the way, there's still conservatives out there that I like, although I have differences with. Jonah Goldberg, George Will. I think they're very, very smart people. Even when I disagree with them, I say, wow, that was a thoughtful thing to say. People that lean left, like Sam Harris, I disagree with them probably more often than I agree with him. But I think he's a reasonable person who's honest in making arguments. He's not a demagogue. He's not a political hack. He's not somebody out there just telling his audience what they want to hear. He's somebody that's telling the truth as he interprets it. I think he's wrong. There's a difference. Greg Lewis says a violation of individual rights is a violation of individual rights. Doing because or not because of race makes it no less a violation. I agree. I Like Numbers says Sam Harris is a political hack. Provide evidence. I've read a few of his books and I've listened to numerous of his podcasts. I've never seen evidence for that. If you have evidence for it, show it. Let me back up. There was a question. Tucker Marler asked me, what are my thoughts on argumentation ethics? Tucker Marler, you should go to the Rational Egoist. I actually debated one of the top arguers for argumentation ethics in the world, Stephen Kinsella, maybe second only to Hoppe himself. I think that argumentation ethics is absolutely silly. I don't think that it provides a strong case for anything. I don't think that I could do that, do it justice off the top of my head, a good critique of it. But I would highly recommend that you go to my Rational Egoist. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, and just look to when I debated Stephen Kinsella on the issue. If you want, message me because I'll probably forget. And if you message me on Facebook or one of these things, Twitter, I'll get the link and I'll share it with you. Michael, check questions on websites. I do, but I am very, very busy. So I can't just respond immediately. I'm sorry. I have to frame Gilder after all. Remember, what I mean by hack, political hack, is somebody that basically lies or misrepresents. This is in response to Deeper with Diego's question. Somebody is a hack who just tries to present their side. They don't care. They're not interested in truth. They're just interested in, representing their tribe. Let me see. Private chat. Let's see what Persephone has for me. Oh, nothing that I didn't really already address. Persephone has left the building. Greg Shoup with an excellent pun here. He says, my Mark Shoup interview was a good investment of time. I absolutely agree. Oh, you're saying, I don't know. Persephone, did you post questions from the website that I was supposed to address first? Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Okay, let me go try to find these. Oh, there's only one. and this is from Lee, and I don't understand the question. I don't get it. Something about she wants me to pick her up or Mark to pick her up. Neither one of us can do that because we're not in that country at the moment. Sorry, Lee, we love you, but that's just not plausible. I'm sorry that you want to leave the country. So Lee, yes, I did know that that was the question, but I didn't know how to answer it because I really did not understand the question. If I were there, I'd pick you up. Listen, I'm not opposed to driving. Deeper with Diego is telling Chandler to say something to piss me off. He says he has popcorn. Okay, we're not going to do that on this show. If you say, I'll pick up on it pretty quickly if you start just saying things to get me wound up. Violations of rights and tyranny are things that do get me wound up, and that's what I see happening in this country. That's what I see happening. I'm not calling anybody a fascist or a communist or anything like that. I'm just saying there has been a step up in the violations of rights and in the coming violations of rights, and I am not a fan. Oh, on the cup, Greg, this is my friend Brent McCall. He's currently incarcerated, and I would very much like to get him out. He has more integrity than any person that I've ever met in my life. He's spent now 29 years in prison. I think he's done his time, and I think he's a reformed person who needs to be let out and needs to be free. Private chat. We zip to the bottom. What do I think about Starmer's new digital ID cards? Anytime I hear something about mandatory IDs, I mean, we have it here now, the real ID. And I remember before they wanted us to have a national ID. Whenever I hear that, it really creeps me out and I don't like it. But I haven't looked into that specifically. But from what I'm seeing, I think I will oppose it. Deeper with Diego says Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones tried making YouTube channels. YouTube immediately banned them and responded with, they haven't come out with a policy on returns yet, so wait. Well, if it's no longer pressure from the government, right? I understand before it was Biden pressuring them, and that is reprehensible. But if YouTube chooses to not platform those assholes, and I'm swearing, I've been doing so good on the not swearing. If YouTube doesn't want to platform those jerks, that's within YouTube's rights. I certainly wouldn't platform. Like, I want to build an audience, and I'm looking to make money off of this. Alex Jones could ask me to come on his show, and I would tell him, no, not doing that. No way I'm doing that. Megan Ribbon says, for you and the audience, what does an educated young child look like? By the time they graduate high school, what are you hoping they have achieved in terms of knowledge, skills, accomplishments? Megan, I don't know what I would expect them to have. I certainly think that children should be taught reasoning, how to think reasonably, how to think deductively, how to think inductively, how to form concepts, how to spot logical errors, flaws. I definitely think that. I think that kids definitely need to know history. So with that, I mean, I know Andy Bernstein in his book has a lot of suggestions, but I'm simply not informed enough to really give an opinion on what education should or shouldn't look like. I know one thing, that when the literacy rates are what they are in this country, that's a problem. That's about as far as I could go. Sorry, I wish I could be more helpful. Let's see what else we got. Okay, Lee, I understand you want people to pick you up, but we just can't do that. It's just not possible. Persephone has a link here for me. What should I do? Click it now? So then what are you doing putting it here now? You have both my email address and my phone number. You confuse me putting it here now. Oh, my Lord. This is not my day. Okay. I don't even know what the other stories are I'm supposed to be reading. It's really gotten out of control. I'm waiting for some good questions. But let me go see what I've got. I went to the wrong page. See, here's the thing. Jim Valiant was going to come on with me, so I sent all the stories to him this morning. But then last minute, he couldn't make it. So all the stories are posted to him. Normally they're posted to Mark. So all I have to do is I just go to my text exchanges with Mark and all the stories are stored there. Now they're stored in Jim Valiant's Facebook Messenger. And I sent him so much stuff. Wow, I expected him to read all this? Oh, that's not right. All right. From Donald Trump, starting October 1st, 2025, we will be imposing a 100% tariff on any branded or patented pharmaceutical product unless a company is building their pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in America. Is building will be defined as breaking ground or under construction. There will therefore be no tariff on these pharmaceutical products if construction has started. Thank you for your attention in this matter. More threats, more strong arming, more screwing with the economy. Not good. Tariffs are not good, folks. It's that simple. I mean, I don't know how many times we could beat this dead horse. Oh, I got a dead horse to beat. An old ex-nemesis that I had an exchange with this morning. Who out there is familiar with Nina Turner? Show of hands. Anyone know Nina Turner? There's no hand showing, but I couldn't see him even if they were. I could see Persephone's hand, but she didn't put it up. Persephone, do you know Nina Turner? Just shake your head no or nod yes. All right, we've got nothing for Nina Turner. But anyway, so Nina Turner posted this morning on how wonderful, what are these things? Unions are. She says, unions, they're raising your wages, blah, 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 join a union. She says, please remember this. So I posted in response, please remember that unions actually lower wages throughout the economy, that they cut productivity, and that they ultimately lead to unemployment for those who aren't their members. So Nina decided, not knowing me, she puts out there that she reposts my post, but with a comment saying that, oh, this is just somebody else out there trying to defend the elites. Really? So I responded to her. I said, okay, I'm an ex-convict who grew up in the projects and I live in my friend's basement. Am I really representing the elites? Is that who I am? But notice, she doesn't engage the argument. She doesn't say, obviously I made 3 claims that would take a lot of arguing, right? But she doesn't say, okay, let's have an exchange of ideas. Why don't you debate me on the issue? No, she just immediately goes to intention. So remember earlier in response to Megan Ribbons, I said that people should learn logical fallacies. This one here specifically is the subject motive shift, right? So she made a claim, I made a claim. She then said I was making my claim because of my motives. Notice there's a switch from the subject to you just think this because. Similarly, when I'm arguing with someone from MAGA and I make a claim and they say, oh, you're just brainwashed by the media. No, you're not addressing my claim. Or they say, you just don't like Trump. Now you're just addressing my motive. So what if I don't like Trump? It's irrelevant. I don't like Donald Trump. Donald Trump has blondish hair. I made a factual claim. Either rebut it or acknowledge it. Don't tell me about my motives. It's irrelevant. Yeah, I've had some exchanges with old Nina on X, quite a few actually. She's absolutely ridiculous. She never met a government program she didn't like. She completely misunderstands the fact that everything that she's recommending entails robbing somebody of their earnings to give to somebody else that she prefers, whether it be universal health care, reparations, whatever. Let me back up here and see what we got. Jenna Kleem says she saw my post. Oh, somebody says she's a black lady. Yes. All right. The MD20 asked me, what do you believe is going on with Hexes bringing in all the top military brass next week? I believe it's NATO related. I have no idea. I am interested, though, to see what people think about his comments about Wounded Knee and about keeping the medals given to the people who fought at Wounded Knee. Now, Wounded Knee was a massacre of Native Americans, Indians, whatever, however you wish to refer to them. I'm not a big fan of massacres like that. I'm sorry. I'm just not. And by the way, I'm not some bleeding heart, saying give the land to the Indians, it's theirs, and Whitey stole it or anything else. But that doesn't mean there weren't atrocities that happened. They're not reflective of me. I didn't do it, but nevertheless, I don't know that we should be celebrating those who did. All right, let's see here. Tucker Marler says, I get so sick of older people pestering me by saying that I only hold my opinions because I'm young and I'll grow up. If you're so much more mature than me, deal with the points I raise. Absolutely, Tucker Marler. You are absolutely correct. So if Mark and Jim are ever giving you hell for how young you are, just don't listen to it. I mean, those guys are a little bit older. So if they make that kind of mistake, that's kind of on them. I don't know. I try to make an old joke about Mark and Jim. I think it went flat. But the reason I think it came off flat is because I'm going by Persephone, because she didn't look amused at all. So if Persephone laughed, I would assume it was funny, but she didn't. So, let's see. Let me scroll down. Nina Turner, MD20 says, Nina Turner fights for the rights of systematic problems in the Black community. She knows how detrimental unions were for Black people. Yeah, well, that's the other thing with unions is the minimum wage laws that unions pushed for were initially partially the reason that they were put in place or advocated for was to exclude your lower level workers, your entry level employees, for instance, many of which were Black. So they wanted to price Blacks out of the market. You're right. Nina should know that. I wonder if she does. All right. Let's see what we got here. Gary Menard says, yesterday when you mentioned Andrew Jackson, you did not mention his greatest evil. He ignored the Supreme Court's verdict on the Cherokee removal, the first president to negate the Constitution. Yes. I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but there's a story that Andrew Jackson actually said of Justice Marshall. He's made his ruling, let him enforce it. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I've seen that it is. I've seen that it isn't. But nevertheless, I get your point, Gary. Thank you very much. Tucker Marler says he will definitely shut up about history around Jim, but that's only because Jim grew up with Aquinas. Good one. I like that. That's good. I'm getting all these texts. I know it's not relevant. You ever wonder why I bring up irrelevant stuff sometimes? I'm sure you do. Whatever. You know what I struggle with? What shirt to wear on the show? Because I can't remember what shirt I wore this week, what show I wore on the podcast. So sometimes a podcast that I filmed 2 weeks ago will come out the day after I did this show and I'm wearing the same shirt. And then there's going to be people out there telling me how I wear the same shirt every day. I don't need that in my life. I just don't. I actually have a slew of shirts that I choose from. This is one of them. I absolutely love this shirt. It's got some of the founders on it: Washington, Franklin, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Hamilton. So that's cool. Cat Sterling loves when I ask random questions and he has to buffer for a second. Cat Sterling, I have such a great random question for you. What made you go back to Cat Sterling? That is absolutely awesome that you decided to make the right choice. Persephone agrees about merch. I got a private chat. Let's check it out. I already covered it. Apparently these people don't know washing machines. I don't know. Who doesn't know about a washing machine? The people that criticize you if you wear the same shirt every day. Well, even if you're washing it every day, I mean, to wear the same thing, it's not very stylish, for one. And for two, if you're washing the shirt every day, you're likely causing it damage. I don't know why you would do that. Is that what you do? Manu, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. And by the way, Manu keeps roasting me, no pun intended, about the coffee that I drink. She's telling me, oh, it's instant coffee. It's not real coffee. I'm just concerned with the caffeine. I don't really care about anything else. All right. So Trump wants to tariff these, what the hell are these things called now? Oh, pharmaceutical companies. If they aren't in America, or if they aren't building here in America, he's going to tariff them. Another bad policy. let's go see what else I got here in the stack of stuff. Former FBI indicted. Oh, I like this guy. What do you guys think of this Joe Walsh? I don't know about his political views. I just like his I like his the takes I see. He says it doesn't matter what you think of James Comey. All that matters is this. The president of the United States has been ordering the Justice Department to go after his political opponents. That's wrong. It's fascist. It's banana republic stuff. It's an abuse of power. It's a direct attack on the very concept of equal justice before the law. It's an impeachable offense, and it's a direct attack on the integrity and independence of the Justice Department. Every single prosecutor at the DOJ should threaten to resign in protest. None of this is normal, and none of this is okay. Not here in America. This is how the rule of law dies, and not one Republican will say a thing. This Joe Walsh, I guess, used to be a Tea Party member of Congress, and now he is a Democrat. Yes. Yeah, I've seen that too. That's a little weird. I like numbers. I agree. He's telling the Democrats they need to change after he's just joined the team. That's a little strange. But other than that, I like his comments. Oh, nice, Persephone. I see this on X. You posted this thing where they have this ranting guy representing me. Huh. I need to know what people think. Is this appropriate from Lady Persephone? I just reposted it. Check it out. As long as it's not mocking me, though, I guess that's okay. Somebody named Derek followed me. All right. Repost. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Nothing. Let me see the private chat if we've got something. If not, Kaya Prigmore asked, what are my thoughts on the whole Tylenol thing? Kaya, I will not be taking medical advice from Donald Trump or RFK Jr. That I can tell you. Not that it matters. I mean, you know, I'm not pregnant. I'm not going to get pregnant. I'm not going to be in a impregnating situation anytime soon. So it's not something that concerns me, but I think it's probably BS. I mean, there's risks with everything. I'm inclined to think that the increase in autism has more to do with better diagnostic tests, with changing of the diagnostic criteria to encompass more people. I don't think it's Tylenol. Oh, God, give a short argument against the initiation of force. Oh, my God. The argument against the initiation of force is dependent on an entire prior theory of epistemology and ethics. The best I could do off the top of my head is you initiate force of somebody else against somebody else. You risk retaliation from them. You risk retaliation from somebody else. And it'll, you know, you initiate force against them. You're depriving them of their right to think, which means it's their right to engage with you in trade and commerce, in reasonable discussion. It's also hypocritical because I obviously don't want somebody initiating force against me. It's non-productive because I'm not producing anything. It's certainly not independence because I'm completely dependent on that other person. If I'm doing it to steal, if it's just to be violent, it's certainly not in my interest just to hurt anybody. All right, what do we got? Lebo kids running around with the dogs. Manu says maybe Diana wants that. This conversation has now gone astray. Let's be clear. She doesn't. If she did, wrong guy. I don't know. I'm not like looking for children. I don't need that in my life. I spent 25 years in prison. I need some freedom here. Like, I don't want to be taking care of some kid. This kid wants to go here and there and everything else, and I'm responsible. And then when they become teenagers, oh my God, they start lying to you. They take off. They're back talking. No freaking way. And I love the parents, by the way, who think, no, not my little Charlie. My little Johnny, it would not sneak out of the house at night. And if he did, he would tell me that, no, he's lying. They're little liars. That's what they are. They're sneaking out. They're getting away with hell. You know, oh, my little Cindy, she's not having sex. Yeah. All right. So let me tell you, forget about little Cindy. She's 17 years old. That's over. So I'm going to wrap this up. Kat Sterling has a 5-year-old going on 15. I don't think that 5-year-old sneaking out of the house, Kat, that's not something you have to worry about just yet. If so, then really get that kid into a Montessori school, because that kid is precocious as hell, right? Manu says she thinks I have trauma. Probably a whole lot. Yeah, I'd imagine so. I don't know that it's impacting me now, or what I'm saying here. It's mostly based on knowledge of human beings and what it's like to be a teenager. Megan Ribbon says her 9-year-old assures her that she will not be evil when she's a teenager. So the lying has already started, Megan. Either that or she just doesn't know. Because I remember when I was a little kid, right? This is off topic. Well, it's on this topic, but off politics. My mother told me, wait till you're a teenager and you want to go hang out with your friends, but don't want to spend time with your girlfriend, but she wants you to spend time with her. And I said to my mother, I must have been 10. That seems crazy to me. Why wouldn't I just want to spend time with my girlfriend? Why would I want to be hanging out with guys when I could hang out with my girlfriend? I learned, sure enough, that when I had this nagging girlfriend, where are you going? I don't need that in my life, right? Where are you going? What time you coming home? And this and that. And all I want to do is go hang out. And believe me, I was lying. I mean, I came up with so many stories but I guess that's for another day. Deeper with Diego says he tell I never had kids. He keeps thinking teenagers are the start of responsibility. No, I even hate the idea of listening to a crying baby more. I can't stand listening to crying. Like, it's just like, you gotta stop it. And then when they're toddlers, they get all wound up. They're running around. They're making noise, bothering me. They want attention. Look at this. Look, I don't want to look at it. I don't care. I'm sorry. I just don't care about your pet toy duck. It's not my jam. Maybe some people want to see it. I don't. Just not for me. But I will say this, on a more serious note, that my deceased girlfriend Melissa has an absolutely beautiful son, Vinny, and I was in charge of taking care of him. And I've seen Bluey with Vinny, and I absolutely love Vinny, and I enjoyed taking care of him. So I do understand that once you love the kid, things change. You know what I mean? Your ability to be tolerant changes. Everything changes. So I get that. So you just made me switch from light mood to serious mood. It's all okay. But it is time, I think, to wrap this up, regardless of how much time Lee thinks I owe. I need to I need to go. It's time. There's nothing more to say. Capitalist thought of the day. Freedom of the press. Freedom of the press is essential for a free society. Thomas Jefferson said if he had a choice to have government without newspapers or newspapers without government, he would choose newspapers. With the freedom of press combined with the modern ability to spread information through social media, it's imperative that we pay attention, because while we have a free press and people are free to say what they want, that does not mean they will say the truth. It doesn't even mean they will know the truth. So just because it's a misrepresentation or false statement doesn't even mean it's a lie. It could just be a mistake. It is on us, the American people, on you, to pay attention, to make sure your sources are good, to double check, cross check, recheck, and understand what it is you're reading, and do not fall for demagoguery and propaganda. All right. Question for everybody today. My question is this. Do you, as the audience, dislike when I go into a light mood and joke and discuss lighthearted matters? Would you prefer if I just stayed serious for an hour with, no smiles, that sort of thing? That is the question. You are to go to the Capitalist Corner YouTube page and leave your comments there. Again, like it, subscribe to it, We need you to do it. It really, really, really helps with the algorithm. Also, check out my podcast, The Rational Egoist. We got a great episode out right now with Mark Shoup. Go to AmericanCapitalistParty.org. We got some great stuff there. The intersection between philosophy and psychology will be coming out soon. That is completely dependent on one Mark Pellegrino. I will ask him about it when I talk to him tomorrow. Audience, listen, I love you guys. Even when I get angry with you, you are absolutely, you're great. I love that you're here. I love your comments, love your questions. I will see you on Monday. Until then, remember, always check your premises. Peace.